Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Aditi here. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to control our minds and how to have a peaceful and a contented life by controlling the mind and not running behind the mind's little desires and thoughts and emotions and feelings and all of that. So let's dig more on finding what this mind is all about and how do we actually take control of it. And so without further ado, let's get started. So we all know our minds are really bothersome, troublesome. It doesn't let us sometimes be in peace. It keeps repeating itself over and over again, or it keeps wanting something over and again. So it's like a combination of a lot of things, and we all want to know how to keep the mind calm so that we can try to be happy and at least even know what peace is. So all of this is possible only when the mind is controlled. What is mind all about? As per the scriptures, there are like two types of things. Like one is a physical body, that's the body that we can physically see, hand, legs, and all that, and other is the subtle body. The subtle body is something that we cannot physically see it, but without which the majority of functions don't happen. And in the subtle body is where the mind comes. So the mind has like four major divisions, or it does basically four major jobs. The mind is basically the one that has all the desires, the thoughts, emotions, the feelings, the likes, dislikes, and all of that. The second layer would be the intellect. The intellect is basically the one that actually cuts everything off, analyzes things whether it is good for us or not good for us. For example, if I want to eat something junk or should I eat something healthy, the decision that comes to me comes to the intellect, and that's where intellect plays a very important role in taking the right choices, making the right choices. The third is basically the subconscious mind, just a storehouse of all the impressions, the past memories, the aversions and all of this, like a memory form, subtle form, it has gone into it. And the fourth would be the ego. To have a happy life, the mind has to be controlled. Mind meaning like the thinking, thoughts, emotions, feelings, the desires of wanting certain things, likes and dislikes, all of these has to be controlled. Now the controlling part comes from the intellect part. Now everything is basically mind, but we are just dividing into multiple layers so we can understand on which layer we have to work the most, so that we don't feel super bogged down or troubled by the mind. The intellect is supposed to be the one that has to be sharpened, and because it's the one decision making thing. I put an interesting poll out on my Instagram, and a lot of you have commented on it. Most of them said actually mind, which is the reality, which is the truth. Most of us, we don't use intellect much. Even if we use intellect much, it's not given by the right knowledge. Should I eat pizza or should I eat pasta? That's exactly where the intellect is being used, and not like should I eat junk or should I eat healthy. So that's not where the intellect is actually put in use. So to make the intellect be the one who actually takes the right decisions and choices, for that the intellect has to be given the right knowledge so that they can work based on that. Now the intellect has the power to actually control the mind. The example for that is everybody, on a Monday morning, nobody wants to get up and go to school or go to work or anything of that. Sometimes it's like really dragged up. We just don't want to go to work or anything like that, but the intellect says that you have to go to work whether you like it or not, because we are dependent on money, or we have a career to make, or something or the other to make, right? The intellect gives an answer, you're not taking off to the work today. So the intellect has the power to actually pull the mind and do something that is actually useful for us in the longer run than the temporary mind feelings and thoughts and emotions and all of it keeps jumping and make us feel really down. That's exactly, that intellect is powerful in taking the right decisions and not giving into the whims of the mind. Not all the time intellect is put to good use, because we kind of make the intellect a slave of the mind, and it's been put to choose two of the worst things that mind suggests, and not the right thing that intellect has to find and give it to us. To sharpen the intellect, that's when we'll have to know the right knowledge, and the right knowledge actually comes from only from a scripture. There is nowhere else we can get the right knowledge, like why are we born, what is the purpose of us being here, why are we here, and why are we doing the same thing over and over again, like eating, showering, going to work, coming back, sleep, studying, same thing over and over again for years together, and one final day just like leaving everything off behind, even including the body behind, and then going somewhere and not knowing where it is. If only we all think in that direction, like what is the purpose of all of this, why am I doing the same thing over and again, only then the intellect actually longs for getting the right knowledge, and the right knowledge comes from reading scripture. Now again, reading scripture, the mind is first going to oppose that. It doesn't like anything that is boring or anything that's going to diminish its power or importance in life. So the mind will definitely protest against it. It's going to give a lot of juicy see options like, oh, there's a new series that is out, or a new episode that is out, or we can go to mall in the time of actually taking a scripture and sitting and reading, or we can actually quickly take a nap. Even if you had forced yourself to take the book, it will come up with an option of how about we take a quick nap, but only if you really have the strong willpower and determination to actually knowing it. And once the right knowledge is fed to the intellect through scriptures, by reading our scriptures, which is just a powerhouse of knowledge, which just gives all the lives juice to our life without even having to think much or anything. Just have to like follow pretty much what is given with the help of intellect. So now the intellect can actually be put to good use. Instead of using the intellect and finding the better of the true worst things, it can actually distinguish and make a choice between the good and the bad. And the more we start using our intellect based on the right knowledge from scriptures, the more we start doing good in life, and the bad or the lower vibration things keep on decreasing. At a point we are just actually pure and doing the right things in life. Now that elevates us to a higher platform, which makes us feel peaceful and happy and contented from within, than giving into all the whims of the mind by running behind this. Everybody's intellect has the same power and the same power to control the mind and not go with its whims. Only if you put your intellect to good use by reading the right knowledge, the intellect can step up. And if it's not going to step up, it is just going to choose between the two desires that mind is offering, or two feelings that the mind is offering, or the emotions that mind goes through. Then automatically we start flowing in the direction of mind, like today it's not in a mood to do anything, today it wants to eat junk, today somebody said something, so I'm just going to ruin the whole day thinking about the other person, or somebody did not behave the way I want, so I'm going to be sitting like lost, emotionally hurt, and things like that. All of this is happening because of the mind, and the mind keeps jumping from one thing or the other like in a split second. And with every whim and every jump, we are going to have a heartbreak, or a feeling bad emotion, or lethargy, or feeling low, dull, and all of it. All of this is because of the mind is given the control and not the intellect. So the day we start actually giving the control only to the intellect, and the mind is actually following the orders from the intellect, that's when our life is going to be good. So the more we start using intellect the right way, the more control we have over our mind, the more peaceful and the more contented and the more happier we can actually feel. One time you just try defeating the mind, it's so powerful, and then you keep on repeating the same action over and over again. At a point the mind will have no voice at all in life, and that's when true liberation happens. So the first step is actually trying to be aware and actually like pondering on or contemplating on all of this I said, like where we cannot choose the mind the most, or where we go in the intellect direction. Start getting little more aware, like where are we going with the mind, where are we going with the intellect. See how much percentage of mind's interest you're choosing over intellect, and how percentage of intellect you choose over mind. It's actually a good activity. It's also like a best thing for self-analyze, introspection. It's a great thing. It's an interesting thing to do about ourselves, like knowing where we use the mind a lot, where we use the intellect a lot, and try to improve it from there. First we should know where we stand, and from there we need to start improving on how we can choose the intellect's way more, and then feeding the intellect with the right knowledge, so that we are actually truly powerful enough to control the mind through the intellect from the right knowledge through scriptures. See your life transform for good. One victory over mind, we feel so empowered within ourselves. So continuously doing that over and over again by not choosing the mind and choosing the intellect with the right knowledge, at a point we're going to feel full and really feel independent, and we'll have the confidence, and we're not going to be like, oh, I cannot do this anymore, I won't do this anymore. You'll always choose the right things and the things that are meant for growth of your life than over the easy and the fun things that always mind offers. So once you start doing that, your life is going to transform for good, and we all can be more peaceful and more contented from within. That genuine internal peace is incomparable to anything material. So only if you realize that, if you have that sense of that feeling, that's when you will actually start doing it.